It is a bromide to say that most of the domestic unhappiness in the world comes from the fact that men do not know how to treat their wives. This does not mean that husbands are selfish, inconsiderate brutes, who go about breaking women's hearts for sport. Nor does it mean that the average man is a Bluebeard, who marries a woman in order to torture her. On the contrary, practically every man who marries is deeply in love with the girl he asks to be his wife, and it is his most ardent desire to make her happy. That he so often fails is due to his ignorance, and not to intention. Often and often he is 1,000 times more patient and more indulgent to his wife than she deserves. The 3 fallacies of love. Nevertheless, marriage is frequently a failure because men do not know how to treat their wives. Even when husbands are good, they are often good in the wrong way, which is as aggravating to a woman as if she were being stuffed on chocolate creams, when her mouth is watering for roast beef and potatoes. The initial trouble is that every man who is in love starts out with fallacies concerning the woman he adores. The first is that she is a sort of divine monstrosity, an unfledged angel, a superior being from a higher sphere, whose whiteness should not be soiled by contact with the common things of earth. The second is that a man should keep the woman he loves in pink cotton, and shield her from all the cares and responsibilities of life. The third is that the woman is a fool, incapable of understanding things or acting rationally. Of course, no human being, not even a woman, can combine in her system all of these inconsistencies, but that doesn't hinder the man from trying to put his theories into execution, and the result is disaster. Now, no woman wants to be treated as if she were an angel, or a piece of paste jewelry that wasn't genuine enough to wear, or even as if she were an idiot. A wife wants to be a chum. What women yearn for, what they break their hearts for, what would make them perfectly happy, is for their husbands just to treat them as if they were human beings, with almost human intelligence. But they seldom get this. They are treated well, and they are treated badly, but few are ever treated fairly. A woman's ideal of earthly bliss is for her husband to make her his chum. She yearns with an unspeakable yearning for him to want her as his companion, to love to talk to her, and to enjoy taking her out. In that wonderfully clever play, Is Matrimony a Failure?, there is one line that brings a lump into the throat of every married woman, and that is, where the wife turns to the husband who has been making sneaking trips off to enjoy himself in New York and says to him, "Hereafter, you have got to take me with you, and you don't know what a good fellow I can be." That's the thought in the hearts of millions of other married women. Their husbands don't know what good fellows they could be, how companionable, how jolly. And they never get a chance to show them. Women don't want their husbands to be afraid of them, or to look upon them as killjoys, or to lie to them. A young man who was radiantly happy in his marriage once told me this illuminating little story. "When I got married," he said, "I had the idea that a man's first duty was to lie to his wife and keep her in the dark when he zigzagged a little off the straight and narrow path. Well, I hadn't been married very long before I got in a game of poker and lost a good deal more money than my income afforded. Of course I had to borrow to make good, and then to pay back I was holding out a little of my salary here, and a little there, and lying to her right and left, and living a lie of double-dyed deceit that got on my nerves and made me perfectly miserable. Of course I thought, if I should tell her what was the matter, that there would be a terrible scene, with tears and reproaches and the deuce to pay generally. Finally the story came out. Finally, however, in a moment of desperation, I blurted it out, and what do you suppose she did? She didn't turn a hair, or say a word about the kind of an idiot I'd been. She took it like a dead game sport, and dug down into what she'd been saving out of her housekeeping money and made me go and square myself. You would have thought that she had been paying debts of honor all her life. That taught me a lesson, and we've been perfectly happy, because I don't keep a thing from her, but just treat her as if she is a pal that knows all about how it is when a fellow jolts off of the water cart now and then. There's a great secret of connubial happiness in that story, gentlemen. There are very few women so narrow and mean that they cannot realize that a man who works on strain all the time needs relaxation now and then, and longs occasionally for an evening of purely masculine society. But what makes the wife mad all over is for her husband not to frankly tell her what he intends doing. It insults her intelligence for him to try to deceive her with a story that wouldn't take in a girl baby, about a customer coming from Oshkosh, or having to sit up with a sick friend, or attend a lodge meeting. Tell your wife the truth. The man who tells his wife the truth, no matter what that truth is, and who convinces his wife that he is on the level with her, has nothing to fear from her jealousy or suspicions. It's the woman who knows she is being lied to, who gets up in the night and goes through her husband's pockets to see if there is any feminine handwriting about, and who sniffs at his coat to see if it smells of tobacco or violet extract. And that's one way a wife likes to be treated.